we are launching NEED now as a political party.
We are now fully fledged political organization called the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue. Money in your pocket. I thank you for that.
Any day.
Oi.
Any day.
So first of all, I accept the election, the nomination and the election. And I'm honored to be serving in this capacity. Mwebale nnyo bassebo ne bannyabo olunaku olwaleero kantandike n'ebyaliwo emabega awo nga ngenda mu kalulu aka 2021 abaami bano ab'ekibiina ekyawandiikibwa ekibiina ky'obufuzi ekyawandiikibwa mu mwaka ogwa 2005 bantuukirira nga bamaze okuwulira ebintu byenjogera ne baŋŋamba ebintu byeyogera bifaananako n'ebyaffe bitubadde tulowooza eggwanga lino gye lirina okugenda kati olw'ensonga eyo ne baŋŋamba jangu otwegatteko mu pate yaffe nenzikiriza newankubadde twakikuumiraawo nga mu busirise tetwakifulumya neŋŋenda neneesimbawo mu independent naye nga nali manyi nina pate eneemabega. Kaakati abantu abamu nga bambuuza nti okola ddi ekibiina ky'obufuzi ne saagala bagamba nina ekibiina ky'obufuzi kyendimu naye olunaku olwaleero delegates conference ey'ekibiina ekibaddewo ekya People's United Movement etudde ne basalawo nti erinnya lya party balikyuse balijje mu People's United Movement oba PUM oba PAM oba PUM bakiteeke mu NEED, National Economic Empowerment Dialogue, kati ekibiina bwe batyo bakiyita. So NEED was registered in 2005, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Kati kalaza z'ekibiina ekibaddewo kiri zibadde black and white ne tusalawo ezo tuzisigaze. Kati badde balina ekibiina akabonero akalala ne tukakyusa ne tusalawo tukozese kasooli kubanga kasooli yayogera ku eggwanga lyaffe nga bwe tusobola okukyusa embeera y'abantu nga tuyita mu byobulimi. Kati ne tuteekawo wano wansi NEED kasente mu nsawo. Kati ffe kye tutambuza tugenda kuteeka kasente mu nsawo tumanye engeri y'okuziteekamu. N'olw'ensonga eyo olunaku olwaleero tutongozza NEED ng'ekibiina ky'ebyobufuzi newankubadde kibaddewo okuva mu 2015 myaka 17 kati era kyatongozebwa mu October 2025 kati kiwezezza emyaka 17. So n'olw'ensonga eyo nenteekawo bano abantu okubeera mu kabineti yange. Asooka mukyala w'amaanyi ava mu kibuga ky'eggulu Gulu City bamuyita Evelyn Laker ye mumyuka wange. Then General Secretary General ye Mwami Odaka Asuman ono yava Bukedi Tororo. Organizing Secretary ye Mwami gwe bayita Mulangira Jojo Kibinge ono ye ava mu ssaza lya Busiro wano mu Buganda. Ate ono ava Buddu bamuyita Publicity Secretary bamuyita Mr. Matovu Moses. So cabinet tujja jijjuza nga bwe tugenda mu maaso tuteekeyo amannya amalala kubanga balina okufuna abamyuka n'ebirala byonna abakulira abakyala n'abakulira ebyabavubuka n'ebintu ebiringa ebyo. So mwebale nnyo, mwebale eddala. Kaakati kano akabonero kaffe kano buli we n'abampita ku luguudo nga batuuda kasooli nja kukakwata kati nga kano naye nga mbadde gyabategeeza nti abadde pulezidenti w'ekibiina kya People's United Movement omwami Shadrack Ogemba agenda kubeera mu kanso, agenda kukulira kanso y'aba elders abajja otuwabula ffe ng'ekibiina. Oyo mwami gwe mulabaawo omwami naye ava mu Acholi sub-region naye agenda kuba nga akola ki nga akulira elders fellowship etuwabula. Mwebale nnyo, mwebale ddala.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Nze Haji Kabogoza omusomi w'edduwa ntereeza ensonga z'amaka ebyenfuna n'endwadde ezitategeerekeka. Haji Kabogoza omusomi w'edduwa nsiŋŋaanibwa ekitigoma ku lw'ejjinja. Bw'obanga otuuse ekitigoma mu ttawuni ku siteegi osobola okuba ku nnamba z'essimu ezo z'olaba zitambula. Gwe wenna ali ewala oyinza okuyita ku mukutu gwaffe ogwa WhatsApp ku layini eyo eya MTN obudde bwonna mbeerako. Bw'obanga otuuse ekitigoma ku siteegi osobola okulaba aba boda boda ne bakuleeta awaka oba n'onkubira ku nnamba z'essimu ezo.
Name some members of the cabinet who are going to be approved later on by this very delegates conference, perhaps just before lunch. And I've spoken to them and they're all aware of the positions. Madam Evelyn Laker, please come and stand here. This is the Vice President. From Kulu City. Please come and stand here. They are saying here, this side. Madam President. So, this is the Vice President. Pending approval by the delegates conference. Then the Secretary General is Mr. Odaka Asuman. The publicity secretary, let me start with the organizing secretary, is Mr. Mulangira Joju Konachivinge, the man who has it. Please come and start here as well. The organizing secretary. And the publicity secretary is Mr. Matogo, who stood against, who nominated somebody to stand against me in the presidency. And I am still not yet happy. But he's the organizing secretary. Now, publicity secretary, right? So publicity secretary, organizing secretary, vice president, general secretary, the rest shall be communicated. Their deputies and the rest of the cabinet shall be communicated later. About 2 years ago, when I was going into the presidential elections, I was quietly approached by Mr. Shadrach Ogemba here and his colleagues at the People's United Party. They told me that they had keenly followed my arguments and had come to the conclusion that we have a lot in common, and I was pushing the same ideology they had in their mind when they registered their party in October 2005. They invited me to join their party and I did. And as he has explained to you, I chose to run as an independent, even if quietly I was a part of the People's United Movement for reasons that were private to both of us. Now the delegates conference of this party has agreed to a new constitution today, which has been adopted, and they have elected me as president of the party, and I shall be unveiling my executive shortly hereafter, and this very delegates conference will approve that executive. The delegates have also agreed to some major changes to the party, the most notable of which is that it is no longer the People's United Movement, but it is now the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue, or NED. First of all, the word movement comes with a lot of trauma for some of us. So I don't know why Mr. Ogemba decided to call his movement. I think it will be so many years before anybody is comfortable with the word movement. But you know, one of the things that always bothered me, Mr. Ogemba, after the January 2021 elections, was the fact that I was often referred to as former presidential candidate. And it annoyed me, it really did, because I hate to be defined by what is in the past. I prefer to be defined by what is in the future. But because they had no other reference point, I let it pass. So, but now it is my pleasure to address you as the president of a bona fide political party. And now I shall be called by what I currently am and not what I was in 2021. But allow me to tell you a short story which captures a bit of what NEED is all about. There's a 2004 Hollywood movie which is called Big Eyes, which is a biographical story of a talented artist called Margaret Keane, who lived in 1950s America and became famous for her paintings of people with peculiarly big, bulging eyes. After she got married to a man called Walter Keane, her art began to draw a lot of interest from across the state and also was hanging in all sorts of wall paintings and art exhibitions. But then Walter, her husband, started off as a charming husband, but became increasingly abusive to the point that he confined his wife to her studio at home, from where she produced one beautiful painting after another, all of which were sold for handsome fees, and the money was used to accumulate wealth for her husband. Whenever Margaret showed signs of agitation and demanded to know where all her paintings were going, Walter would throw up a charming face and keep her placated with sweet words and occasional gifts, even as he built an empire of her talent. In many ways, Uganda shares a story with Margaret Keane. We've both had a greedy overseer who has plundered us for the exclusive benefit of himself and his immediate family, and mollified us with occasional gifts like Entandikwa, Bonava, Gawale, Myoga, Parish Modo, you get the drift. Indeed, one day, after enduring several years of exploitation, Margaret understood the true value of her paintings and demanded that Walter surrenders a big slice of the estate that was rightfully hers. But there was one big problem. Her shrewd husband had convinced her to sign off the art pieces simply as Keane, which was his name, rather than as Margaret Keane. And so the whole city was convinced that he was the artist. Now Uganda shares that part of her story also, because for decades, one man has attached his name to national resources, especially extractives like minerals and oil, which you hear him calling our oil. My oil rather, not our, my oil. For instance, for the past few years, Uganda has been selling in excess of $1 billion US worth of gold every year. But that money is not even reflected in the national budget as an income for the nation. Because one greedy man, like that man there, has been taking all the proceeds for himself and his family. $1 billion, not even reflected as an income in the budget. But that is just gold. There are others. There is iron ore. There are so many other extractives that are coming out of the soil. So many of them in Karamoja, none of which are even reflected anywhere in the national budget. And they are supposed to be, because they are supposed to be national resources, but they are being personalized by one person. So I'll go back to the story of Margaret Keane. The battle between husband and wife went all the way to court, with Walter insisting that he was the artist. So left with no other way of verifying, the judge asked that each of them be given a canvas and brushes and told them to sit right down in court and paint, so that we may know who is the true painter. Walter, the husband, then claimed that he had got a sudden pain in his shoulder and cannot paint, even as his wife put out another wonderful art piece in front of the judge, which was similar to the ones which were hanging all over the city and which had been getting a lot of money. The judge ruled in her favor, of course. So about 1 year ago, we gathered in this same place here. Some of you remember, and we launched NEED as a political organization, a vehicle that would carry an ideology around which all Ugandans can coalesce as we transition from dictatorship to democracy, which is our dream. We chose economic empowerment as our creed because it is the truest form of empowerment. And we know that our oppressors have built a population that is very dependent on them for sustenance, and therefore is very easy to subjugate. But now, 1 year later, we are taking one bold step forward, and we are launching NEED as a party. I know that the love that we have for this country is shared by millions of Ugandans. We meet them so many times in all sorts of places, and they express their dismay at the direction the country is taking. But while we share their love and the dismay that they have for the direction our country is taking, We do not share their despondency, their discouragement. So many of them feel disempowered. They feel there is nothing they can do about it. We are not like that. We do not share their sense of resignation that we see in so many quarters. It is our conviction, and it is my personal conviction, that just like Margaret King from my earlier story reclaimed what was rightfully hers, so shall Uganda and so shall Ugandans. Our plunderers know that their time is up. They know it. In public, they speak like they are tightening their grip on power, but in private, they hope that they can be allowed to retain their loot after Ugandans have reclaimed their country. I know that there are many people in diverse sectors, and I meet some of them, people in public service, and perhaps even in military and all sorts of places, who choose to hold onto the system, onto this system. And some of them even avoid it, not because they don't see the evils of the system, but because they are scared of the unknown. At least we know this bad thing. How sure are we that we shall get from this bad thing to a better thing? They are scared of the unknown. They don't know what the future holds for them. But I just have two things to tell such people. Firstly, I'll tell them this: change will definitely happen. It's a matter of when, not if. It cannot be avoided. Secondly, the change that need proposes will be to the benefit of everyone. It's not the kind of change, we are not proposing the kind of change that causes disruption, disorder, or that seeks to settle old scores as if we have vendettas against anybody. That's not who we are. We are not a vindictive people. In our relentless pursuit for a bright future for all Ugandans, we shall have very little time to look to the past, because we shall be so engaged in working out a future that benefits all of us. So therefore, nobody has anything to fear about what we are proposing for this country.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Nze Haji Kaboggoza omusomi w'edduwa ntereeza ensonga z'amaka ebyenfuna n'endwadde ezitategeerekeka. Haji Kaboggoza omusomi w'edduwa nsiŋŋaanibwa ekitigoma ku lw'ejjinja. Bw'obanga otuuse ekitigoma mu ttawuni ku siteegi osobola okuba ku nnamba z'essimu ezo z'olaba zitambula. Gwe wenna ali ewala oyinza okuyita ku mukutu gwaffe ogwa WhatsApp ku layini eyo eya MTN obudde bwonna mbeerako. Bw'obanga otuuse ekitigoma ku stage osobola okulaba aba boda ne bakuleeta awaka oba n'onkubira ku nnamba z'essimu ezo.
Some people from the forces, I mean the army, police and intelligence, have intimated to me that they signed up to protect their nation and that's what they went for, but they found themselves serving the interests of one family. So we shall give them the opportunity to do exactly what they signed up for, to serve their nation, and with much appreciation, with better remuneration, and with improved working conditions. And I also have to state this, because this has been a concern for so many people. Because you know there are some people who, when you say we are going to put money in people's pockets, they start getting concerned that you're going to take it out of their pocket. I'll tell you this, we are not coming after anybody's wealth. If you are rich, good for you. You are not our first order of business when we take power. Our priority will be the millions of poor, destitute people dispersed across the country. So if you're rich, I'm not taking money out of anybody's pocket to put it in another. There is a lot to go around. Now, we believe that it is possible to empower people and put money in their pockets without giving them handouts. That is what need is all about. That's the meaning of the word empowerment. Empowerment appeals to people's ability rather than to their need. Excuse the pun. Okay? And I've said this countless times, and I'll say it before, and I'll say it again rather. The numerous resources that we have in this country are enough to give the 40-something million people in this country a very decent life. We have enough resources to go by. The only trouble has been the greedy people who have wanted to personalize those resources and who have wanted to extinguish everybody because they feel if they have a taste of the good life, they want to demand more and they do not want to give. The people who have wanted to hold on to power and believe that the easiest way of doing it is by keeping everybody poor and dependent on the state so that they cannot think independently. Now those are the people who have been a problem. And actually, the only people who have anything to fear are a small cluster of people who have convinced themselves that Uganda is their private estate to be shared out amongst themselves. So now no longer shall they be at liberty to satiate themselves at the expense of millions of Ugandans. Those are the only people who have anything to fear. Because we are not coming to disrupt, we are coming to put money in people's pockets. And there are many ways of putting money in people's pockets if you are a leader in a country as blessed as Uganda. We have a lot of agricultural resources, a lot of mineral resources. We have a lot of oil in places which haven't even been discovered. We have a lot of agricultural, tourism resources, and so many other things that I see all across the country as I have moved, that I look and say every region that is represented here, all regions are represented, including Karamoja. All of them are represented in all the 17 regions. We call them 17, although they're actually 15, because we divide Uganda into 3. So all the regions have been represented. And all of them, when we go to their places, we see that they have enough resources to make the people who dwell in those places have a decent life. I am absolutely confident of that. And I told people in some places where I went that my contract with Ugandans is in 2 years. 2 years. I want 2 years. Everybody will look and see that their wallet is getting bigger and bigger and bulging. And that is my promise to people, because I told them, I was in Busoga somewhere in Uganda, and they told me the problem you people come here when you are seeking for our support. But when you take positions of leadership, you quickly forget about us, and you do not come back here. I told them this country is big. I hope I do actually come back. But whether I come back or not, you will see me in your pocket. When your pocket is full, you know that Kableta is around there, whether you're seeing me or not. And what you are interested in is not my face. There's nothing unique about my face. What you're interested in is your life. And I will be somewhere working to put money in your pocket. And when the money is in your pocket, you just know I'm in the vicinity. Whether you see me or not, like a ghost, I'm somewhere there. Okay? Because that will be my duty. Therefore, I invite all Ugandans, from whatever walks of life, to come and join us as we move and create economic empowerment for our people and reverse all these 3.5 decades of poverty revolution led by Mr. Poverty himself, MUSEVENI. Okay? Making everybody poor across the nation. Fighting so hard to make sure that every resource is either taken away from locals and given to foreigners, which we have been seeing, from the lakes in Busoga, the lakes in those parts of Uganda, to the lakes in Bunyoro, where, and the lakes all over. Or making sure that land is being given to foreigners. And so Ugandans are second-class citizens in their own country. Now these, what I'm talking about here, are the reasons I left what I was doing to join politics. To make sure that if you go out of Uganda, you can be treated as a second-class citizen because you're a foreigner. But if you're a Ugandan, in Uganda, nobody should ever treat you as a second-class citizen. Nobody should put somebody ahead of you just because they are foreigners. Actually, foreigners should come and take a seat under. Some time ago, they were even asking me, what do you think about Uganda's refugee policy on television? And I said, okay, we host refugees, and I really have nothing against refugees because there are people who have problems in their place. The trouble with refugees in Uganda is they also come here as refugees, and they start living in luxury. And they have better lives than the people they found around. There is nowhere in the world where a visitor sleeps in the master bedroom. If you're a visitor, there is a visitor's room. But here in Uganda, visitors sleep in the master bedroom. And the owner of the house goes to the boys' quarter. Okay? Now that is what we have to change in this country. And these are the reasons I got into politics. I am a lover of Uganda. I love this country. I believe in this country. Because some people have told us, you know, we've gone places and people say, for us, we are not a part of Uganda. I've heard that in northern Uganda. I've heard it even in Teso. I've heard it in other places where people, in West Nile, where people say, ah, man, you people, you stay with you. No, no, no. We believe in Uganda, in the united Uganda. Okay? Now, one bad leader is not going to make us hate our country. Okay? Because he found it. He found it here and he's going to leave it here. And he's going to leave it very soon, here. Okay? And we have to love Uganda and love the brotherhood of Ugandans. And we are the only ones who call people from all over the country, every region represented here. We did it before at the national conference, at the, what was it? Yes, at the national conference at Serena. After we had gone region by region and meeting all these people. Now we did it where we invited all the people at Serena and they talked about the issues of their place. And we are going to have that as an annual event so that people can start understanding the problems that are unique to the whole country. Because when you go to West Nile, people tell you, ah, now you go to Chigezi, everybody is rich. But then you laugh because you've been to Chigezi and you know that's not true. So the only way we could change that is by bringing the people of Chigezi with the people of West Nile together. And then they discuss and they realize that the problems of this country are the same and they all stem from bad leadership. And this is exactly what we are here to address.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Nze Haji Kaboggoza omusomi w'edduwa ntereeza ensonga z'amaka ebyenfuna n'endwadde ezitategeerekeka. Haji Kaboggoza omusomi w'edduwa nsiŋŋaanibwa ekitigoma ku lw'ejjinja. Bw'obanga otuuse ekitigoma mu ttawuni ku siteegi osobola okuba ku nnamba z'essimu ezo z'olaba zitambula. Gwe wenna ali ewala oyinza okuyita ku mukutu gwaffe ogwa WhatsApp ku layini eyo eya MTN obudde bwonna mbeerako. Bw'obanga otuuse ekitigoma ku stage osobola okulaba aba boda boda ne bakuleeta awaka oba n'onkubira ku nnamba z'essimu ezo.
Honorable members, a round of applause to the President's speech. Now that he has accepted the leadership, I want to ask the outgoing President to stand up and then give the instruments to the incoming President. Returning officer, come forward, please. Come and we do this exercise. Honorable members, we have the constitution of the former party, that is the PAM, People's United Movement. This is the original certificate of registration. Original constitution is here. It is the original certified one. So as the chairman of the delegates conference today sitting, I'm handing over the instruments to the returning officer, then to hand it to the outgoing president and then hand them to, that is the constitution and the certificate. Please give it to the outgoing president and then he hands it over to. Thank you so much. A round of applause. Then he's going to hand over the instruments to the president. Thank you so much. That is the certified true copy of the constitution and the certificate. Now, returning officer, this is our symbol, the maize cob. As you can see, wonderful. Give it to the another instrument. Okay.
Okay, so
The background. What, Mr. President? The mic.
So we chose maize to symbolize our agricultural potential, but also to symbolize productivity. The productivity of this country, and agriculture is going to be one of the many ways that we are going to put money into people's pockets. Not exclusive to agriculture, but one of the many ways that we are going to put money into people's pockets. So this is our new symbol for the Need Party, and that is our new tag, and our colors are black and white. And so we are no longer you know, maroon, but now we are black and white. So, welcome to Need Party.
The Pope.
Yeah?